Hi there, welcome back for another episode. I'm Rivka Slatkin.
I'm Shlomo Slacken.
Welcome to the Marriage Restoration Project YouTube channel. Today you're going to learn 4 ways you can get your unwilling spouse to come with you to counseling. No doubt you want to work on the relationship, that's why you're here, and it's been really frustrating that your spouse is not really on board with you.
And there's often, or usually, a dragger and a draggee, so it's normal. But some cases, you have a spouse that's really kind of checked out or really disinterested or reluctant, and for a variety of reasons. Things have been bad so long. You may have tried counseling, or they may have begged you to come to counseling for years, and now you're finally want to go, and they're like too little, too late. So, it's complicated, and every situation is different. But the first thing to know is don't offer any ultimatums. Don't pressure. Don't say, if you don't go to counseling, I'm going to take the children. Or, if you don't get help,
I'm going to leave.
I'm going to, well, they want to leave. The other one wants to leave. Don't pressure. Yeah, don't pressure. Yeah, you could say that too. Don't pressure. Because if you pressure, then
It
they're
can
probably going to
backfire.
go the other way and be less willing to go.
Yeah, it's not attractive, I guess, to have somebody pressuring, nagging, being almost so desperate that they have to have this happen and the person has to do something. It's almost repelling. So it's hard to resist doing that because you really want to work on things and make things better, but it's actually going to repel rather than bring him on board or her on board. So
Uh,
that's step number
yeah.
1 is don't pressure.
Step number two is taking ownership for your role. So this can be in a few different ways. Number one, it can just be in general. When you ask for the counseling, say, look, I would like to work on our relationship. I know that I have not been the best husband or best wife, or I'd like to be a better spouse. And I'd like to learn that together with you. So you're getting them to join with you as opposed to putting the blame on them.
Yeah, it's so much less threatening. It's so much less threatening to use I statements. And even though you may not want to say, I know I've been not the best spouse to you because they're equally to blame, but it still
Or you think
shows
that they're really the one
that
to
they're
blame.
at
Yeah.
fault. It shows that you're willing to take ownership for your piece.
Right, and that's a little bit safer. So it's like, okay, like, so you're not just bringing me to therapy to change me. And I think for a lot of men, it's men in general don't like to share their feelings. They don't like to go to therapy. Women are much better at in general. And so there's already that fear. And then coming to therapy, it's going to be on this is your turf. So people are reluctant as is. So if you feel like you're coming to change them and fix them, forget it. So the more that you can take ownership, the better.
Hmm.
But that still may not work, unfortunately. So sometimes what you have to do is step number three is to come from a different vantage point, not about the relationship, not about you, not about them, but more about, well, the children or just closure. And what that means is as follows. So if you have children, you're always going to be in a relationship, even if the marriage ends. So it's really important. Now, forget about, you could say, like, let's work on this to see if we can save it for our kids' sake. But even if they're beyond that, let's work on this because we need to be good parents together. We need to be able to communicate. We don't want this is going to be hard enough for our kids. We don't want to make it even worse. And hopefully, if they can come in the door through that way, maybe they'll have a reawakening of their heart and they want to get back together and stay together.
Yeah, it's co-parenting. So you can stress to them that, I really want to learn co-parenting for the sake of the kids. So they're not put in the middle of things. As an adult child of divorce, I can say I was a ping pong ball used as a weapon many, many times between the parents. And so it's important for the parents to learn how to co-parent effectively in a way that doesn't damage the kids even more so.
and added to that is also another, I think, like co-parenting, another popular thing today is conscious uncoupling. That for the sake of closure, meaning this is not a trick to get them in, but to say, look, I know you don't want to be part of this relationship anymore, and I'm not going to force you, but I'm wondering, like, for the sake of our relationship, for the sake of all of our years together, if we could go to something just to get closure, to clarity, so we can leave, and I don't want to resent you. I don't want you living rent free in my mind about and hating you the rest of my life. I want us to be able to go forward and have a healthy relationship with someone else. But if you could just come, just for the sake of closure, and through that process, learning about the relationship, understanding how relationships work, and how leaving the relationship isn't necessarily going to make it better. Probably wind up having the same problems with someone else, or maybe even worse.
Because we bring ourselves
Yeah.
into every relationship that we enter. So we're bringing all of our baggage plus the baggage of the relationship that didn't work into a new relationship.
Right. So that in that way, maybe they'll be willing to come, have an open mind, and then you'll see that sometimes people realize, you know what, I might as well stay with what I have and work on it than move
Hmm.
on to something else and have it, the unknown.
Hmm.
So that's number three.
So number three is asking for them to come for clarity, closure, co-parenting, the three
Right,
C's.
right. That's really good. And number four is finally, if you can't, obviously you can't ask them nicely. They don't want to listen. Um, if they don't, if you take ownership and they still don't want to do to help you be a better spouse, and they still number three don't want to be there to co-parent
Closure.
have closure with you, the last thing you can do is not pressure them, but the 180. And what that means is, okay, leave them alone, give them space.
It's
Um,
almost like completely playing hard to get in a way, right?
yeah, and it's interesting because I've had couples call me and they said, my spouse isn't interested. And I said, why don't you try this? Just don't, don't need them. Don't be, they see you crying all the time. And I mean, obviously you're upset and you have a right to be upset and it's a horrible situation. But if they see you needy and they see you needing them, please, 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 I'm begging you, that can be unattractive to many people and can lead them to just continue on. And even people who are actively having an affair, which is an extremely hard thing to get someone out of, sometimes when the other spouse who's not cheating, just says, what, I don't need you. Like, if you want to, like, I love you and want you to stay, but like, you can do whatever you want. Don't call them, don't beg them. Just like do your own thing. Show that you're a strong person. Show that you can live without them. Then all of a sudden they become intrigued. Like, I'm wondering what are they up to? Why are
And you
they?
don't, yeah, and you don't have to tell them this is what you're doing. It could just be very subtle.
Yeah.
Just change your behavior, just completely 180, flip exactly the opposite of what you've been doing until now. Flip it on its head, do the 180.
Yeah, and just try to let go, and then and I always say yes. There's always a risk because they're like, yeah, but like, do I need to beg them? If I don't beg them, if I just show like I don't care, then they'll just leave. And that's true. But on the other hand, if you beg them, they also might leave. So the other thing along with the 180 is also to work on yourself. Even if you don't do the complete 180, but just focus on yourself. What can I do to work on myself to be a better spouse? I don't know if they're ever going to come to counseling. I don't know if they're ever going to get help. I don't know if they want to stay together, but I'm going to be the best spouse I possibly can be. And what we find is that the problems that happen it's not one person or the other, it's the dynamic. So when I change in the relationship, then that has a ripple effect and my spouse changes because I'm not pushing their buttons the same way that I did before. So obviously therapy can help you understand what the buttons are that you're pushing, but you can get a good idea of what are you doing to annoy your spouse? What are you doing that you can work on and change? And the more that you can do that, your spouse sees a new spouse, a new partner, then all of a sudden, I want to be a part of that. That's a relationship I do want.
That's a neat opportunity. If your spouse doesn't want to come on board, why not take the opportunity to really learn more about yourself, empower yourself to be a more fully whole and vibrant person, healing some old wounds and being present, I guess, showing up in a new way in your relationship.
Yeah, and not pushing their buttons, and then they'll see that you're more attractive to live with.
So those were the four ways that you can help bring your partner back on board with you to hopefully go to counseling that will work to help your relationship. So we hope you enjoyed watching. Please comment below if anything stood out to you, rubbed you the wrong way, an aha moment you had. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to like and comment and hit the bell notification so you get notified the next time we publish a video on the Marriage Restoration Project channel. And also, we're going to include a link for our free 60-second plan for a happy and healthy marriage. Things you can do in 60 minutes, 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
60 seconds. 60 seconds. What you can do to dramatically shift your relationship. It works. We did it 20 years ago, and we'd love to share it with you. It's what saved our own marriage. So we look forward to seeing you again over on our next video episode. Take care.
Bye bye.